So, Bob, what are you an expert at in your business? What brought you from zero revenue in 2017 when you began to over, if I may say it, over $20 million in revenue in 4 years? Welcome back to the Daily Coach YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about $100 million dreams, taking a corporate career and turning it into the dream of a lifetime, a business that just blows away all franchise businesses. There's some myths out there that truly smart, educated people cannot achieve their business ownership and professional dreams in a franchise. And today we're going to dispel that myth. I have with me an amazing guest. His name is Bob Hillier. He is a franchise owner of Paul Davis in Houston, Texas. Bob, welcome to the Daily Coach YouTube channel.
Thanks for having me, Kim.
I am so excited to get into the meat of this conversation today. So, Bob and I have spent a little bit of time getting to know each other, but Bob, why don't you share a little bit about your 20 years on Wall Street and corporate America background and how that led you to wanting to find a different path for your future, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So, as Kim was saying, I spent most of my career on Wall Street. I was in technology and operations in the fixed income business. I worked for several banks, traveled extensively. I have 4 children and a wife at home, and at some point it was time to spend a little bit more time at home than the amount of time I was spending away. In addition to that, I just part of what I'd always sort of seen myself being able to do was sort of build something on my own, and I'd never really taken that opportunity. Never took the leap of faith, quite frankly, to give it a shot and see how it would go for me. So. There came a time where sort of the travel and what we're doing from a corporate perspective and my desires to do something on my own kind of all started to come together, and I thought I was going to take some time off and sort of figure it out what I wanted to do, and that only lasted a couple of months, and I found myself quickly looking at businesses and trying to determine what I wanted to do next, and I landed in Paul Davis, and it's been a great experience for me for the last almost 5 years now. So yeah, it's been exciting, and it was, I certainly don't regret the change, and just some of the freedoms that I've had personally to do things, with the kids, be home some more. They've graduated high school now, or in college, and heading off to do their careers, and it was great to be a little bit more involved in that process as opposed to before. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, that's so great. It's a very common story, Bob, and I love and thank you for sharing it. So now from Wall Street to restoration, okay, it's not an obvious leap, right? Most of the time when people think about franchising, they think about food, they think about retail, they think about the things that we all love, the brands we love as consumers, right? So I know, sadly, I wasn't the one to place you. I know it was a very good friend of mine who actually led you to restoration. But what were the characteristics of the restoration industry that made this the right opportunity for you?
Yeah, so I actually looked at a number of different. In fact, when I left banking, I didn't really know anything about franchising, and so I was doing due diligence on privately owned companies that I thought it might be interested in getting involved in when I was called by one of your friends, and he introduced me to the franchising business, and I looked at a number of different franchises before I settled on restoration. And honestly, it wasn't Paul Davis initially. It was a different restoration company. But the thing that was intriguing to me was people in general don't always have a great experience dealing with contractors in their homes. And often that's because they lack some of the professionalism that people might be used to experiencing when they're dealing with other companies, and that they would, like to experience in the contracting space. And I felt like with my background being mostly in professional business and, and the focus that I'd had on capital and finance, I thought, restoration is sometimes a capital intensive business, right? Storms happen and it takes money to fund those things, but it's also a very personal business because people have had something bad happen to them that they need help managing, and so a more professional approach to helping them through that I felt would be welcome. And so I looked at the economics of it as well as what I thought people would be looking for. I felt like my background was a really nice match for the industry, and living in Houston doesn't hurt, obviously, with the restoration business.
It certainly doesn't. Amazing. Okay. So great. So you see, those viewers who are listening, you see that the selection of the business has probably less to do with any experience in an industry and more to do with the characteristics of that industry that appeal to you, the investor and the owner, that appeal to you, Bob, right? So in finding the right business, it's less about a love for the widget, the restoration service, maybe more around that restoration service being sustainable, being needs based, being something that feels good to you because you know that when you go into a home and you restore that home to before the water damage or whatever happened in the home, that those homeowners are very, very happy for the services that you've provided. And you're bringing, as you've mentioned, the professionalism to this industry that stereotypically is very lacking in that professionalism.
Yeah, I certainly didn't have any experience in restoration or construction, and so I brought the skills I had developed over the course of a 20-year career and applied those to a different space. And if you read like a Phil Collins book or something, he talks a lot about the who versus the what. And I personally have always believed that. I'm always, even as I hired people into the company today, I'm looking for the right person who has the right attitude, the right energy, and the right passion, because a lot of the technical aspects can be learned. And that's what I've been doing. And I love to learn. I'm just intellectually curious all the time. And so it's been great for me to, sort of figure this out and spend time learning. And I'm personally a long ways away from an expert, but I have a group of 100 people who are experts in this space, and we get to add value together, which has been a great experience.
Amazing. So what advice would you give to the wanapreneur watching this YouTube video right now who's maybe thinking that they need experience in a franchise business in order to go out and just 4 or 5 years build literally a multi-million dollar business?
I would say if you want to do something, build something on your own, and you've got a little bit of hesitation, the franchising business gives you the safety net that you want. It's a little bit of help, but still the ability for you to do something that you're passionate about, you might be interested in learning about, that there's some skill set that you've got in the past that would correlate in some way, but you do not have to be an expert in whatever the franchising business is that you pick. It's important that it's a good match for you and it's what you want, but it's just, I've found personally that this gives me the flexibility to build a business. I'm truly the owner and truly the entrepreneur and truly defining processes and things that work for our customers through our company. But at the same time, I'm getting a little bit of help from a group of people that are building a franchise-based business, and I'm getting help from other owners who I can interact with who have been there and done it, maybe for longer than I have. And what I love about it now is I'm a mentor for new owners that are coming into the business. So I get a chance to sort of give feedback about, this has been my experience. Why don't you think about it this way, or you could think about it a different way. And we have mentoring week in our office with new owners. And it's just been, it's been a good experience where I can engage with the franchisor, I can engage with franchisees, and I can help the newer owners as well along the processes, all while we're building this company together. And it's been a great experience for me.
What is that? I mean, how many people in corporate America get to enjoy like true support where it's, fellow business owners helping you? Yes, we're all like humans, so we love to
Yeah,
compete against each other to find out, who's going to be rookie of the year and who's going to build the biggest
yeah,
business. But we're all laughing inside because at the same time, we're so willing to share what we've learned with one another. Because when I learn something and I can teach it to you and you do it, number one, it feels good for me. But number two, our entire brand is elevated, right?
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, rising tide lifts all boats. There's nothing more. There isn't an industry like franchising to support that theory. And I say it all the time. I'm part of a bunch of district meetings and whatnot in the company, and as anything that we can do to make the brand better is going to make my company better as well. And the good news is you do get that support. You do benefit when the brand does well, but at the same time, you're a business owner, right? You get the flexibility and the freedom to sort of build something and put your own touch on it, which is for me is something that I really wanted to do.
Yep. So you're not an expert in construction or restoration. So, Bob, what are you an expert at in your business? What brought you from zero revenue in 2017 when you began to over, if I may say it, over $20 million in revenue in 4 years? Like, this is why I wanted to interview you, because this is an amazing story that I think will inspire so many big earners in corporate America who sort of, I don't want to say look down on franchising. They just don't know what they don't know. Right. And the
Right.
Daily Coach is all about sharing the good news in franchising and like helping inspire dreams. And I mean big dreams, because I'm a big dreamer and I've achieved my big dreams through franchising. You're realizing your big dreams in franchising. So anybody who's out there listening can also achieve their big dreams in franchising. So, what are you the expert at that made you build this over $20 million in revenue company within just 4 years?
I think it's one thing. So I spent most of my career in some kind of management leadership position, and the biggest thing that I focused my time on, finding the right people. And so I have taken 20 years of finding the right people, helping them work together as teams to be successful, and I brought that to this industry. And I went out and found experts, and I believe in diversity of thought. So I found a variety of different experts with different personalities and different views on how restoration should work, and developed our group as a team. So one of the things that sometimes happens in small businesses is it somebody does, you start out and you're a small business, and so you have to do everything. The thing for me, I didn't want to do everything. I wanted to find people who wanted to be great at what they're great at. And I wanted to put them in that role and let them be great at it. And so if you're a great estimator, I'm not going to put you in the sales function. I'm going to put you in the estimating function. If you're a great sales guy, I'm going to put you in the sales guy group, and I'm going to have those groups work together. And I spent my whole career doing that. I had 5,000 people working for me when I left banking. And I'm used to working and finding people and getting them to work together. And this has been no different for me.
That's
Different
amazing.
skill sets, different mindsets, but the same requirement. Good quality people that care for customers, support the culture and brand that we're trying to build, but are really good at something and want to be really good at it and want to do more of it. And that's what it's taken for us to grow as dynamically as we have over the last 4 years.
Yeah. So you're the CEO of your company and your life. The one thing that is different between then and now is
Mhm.
all of that effort is for your own reward, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
No,
a pretty good reward.
yeah. Yeah. And if you're like, and I even run ads that sort of talk about autonomy, right? If you're someone craving autonomy in your current job, franchising will increase your autonomy. And if that's something that you're desiring, if that's something you're desiring, then franchising allows you to really increase that substantially with that sort of support system that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, that's so great. So you mentioned earlier you had over 100 employees. I think you said 140 employees. Is that correct about?
Yep.
Yep.
We're
So that's
hiring every week, so it's probably a couple weeks old in data, but yes.
that's great. Not quite to 5,000.
No, 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 no.
Probably
I
getting
hope
there.
yeah, I have no intention of getting to 5,000, by the way.
All right, so word on the street is so you've mastered your backyard and or run out of territory to build into.
Hmm.
And so now you are looking at markets that you don't live in. So I have a couple of questions. One is I'm sure that not everybody who starts Paul Davis has the um, built the business that you've built in the short amount of time that you've been in. I want to know, because I know listeners want to know, like, to what do you attribute that? I guess let's answer that question first, and then let's go to your plans for dominating markets that you don't live in.
Sure. So I think for us, it comes down to a couple things we've talked about. One is I did have a plan to grow a big business. I wasn't there, and I'm not suggesting that it's not a great thing to sort of be your own owner, but do a lot of the work. If that's what you're passionate about, that's great. That's what franchising offers you as well. For me, I didn't want to be the person doing the work because I wasn't an expert in that field. I wanted to build a company. I wanted to build a team of people that I could through that company add exponential value to our market. And so I was fortunate enough to have had a good career that I had the capital to support that. And I would certainly encourage people to make sure that they understand the capital needs of whatever business they're getting into. But then, secondly, I went out and found people who are passionate, like I was, about doing this industry, who were experts in the field. And the combination of those two things has allowed me to grow. We have purchased, we started out with the north side of Houston. We purchased the west side from another owner. We purchased the south side. And so that we largely own the market in the Houston space. Um, and the goal was always to sort of own the brand in the MSA, develop a team of people that can support the community that we live in Houston. I have people that live all over Houston working, for our office. And so it's really about that talent acquisition that we spend a lot of time on and trying to find the right folks to be part of our company. And that's really what's driven our brand, I think, in Houston.
And so, for those people who are out there validating a franchise business, I have many videos on how to properly validate. But Bob is driving home the point that I so often try to make that not all franchise owners are equal. And this is why it's really important when you're validating a franchise that you ask for guidance from the franchisor when you begin the validation process. I'm not at all implying that you should be steered to the Bobs in the world, the top performing people, the fastest starts. But on the flip side, it's like, why not? Right? He probably has what you want. Now, maybe you're not an empire builder dreamer. Maybe your dreams are a little bit smaller, and that's totally fine. But why not learn from people who've mastered the model to this point in its history? Because somebody may come along and blow Bob away in a few years. I mean, it's possible, right,
Yep,
Bob?
absolutely.
It's all based on the size of your dreams and then how effective you are at executing on the plan. He didn't say that he's doing anything that's drastically different from the Paul Davis plan. He talked about just executing and focusing on what he's good at, what he enjoys waking up and doing every day, and then delegating the rest to people that are the expert at those other jobs. Thereby, that allows him to come to work every day more inspired because he's not doing the tasks that weigh him down, right? I have videos about this, Can you really achieve work-life balance? Yeah, you can if you can delegate. Can you own a business you don't know anything about? Of course you can in a franchise because there's training and support. And if you can delegate and rely on the people that you're hiring to do their job rather than trying to micromanage and do everything for everybody, right? And so when you're validating a franchise system, I think it's really important that you know going into the call who you're talking to. And, not all owners are created equal, but every owner has an opinion that can be important to you It's just understanding before you go into the call who you're going to be talking to, so that you can hold that validation in its proper place. If you happen to get to an owner who is not making the kind of money that you want to make, or the kind of money that when you hear it inspires your dream, it doesn't mean that that's not possible in that particular business. It's just not where that particular franchisee is yet in their business, or maybe ever, based on their goals for their life. And that's okay, because we're all business owners out here living our own
I think
dreams.
that's a great,
So,
I think
excellent
that's a
point.
great point. And, and I think it's even as you're validating, what kind of support do you want? How much support do you want? How little support do you want? Like there's just a lot of options as you consider franchising that I certainly wasn't aware of. And, I would certainly encourage people to sort of look a bit more broadly than they might otherwise have, because the options are sizable. The size of business you can build, how much or little support you might want to get, or how much autonomy you might want to have. All things that Kim is talking about are important in the initial discussion, so you find the right spot that feels right for you.
Go about casting that wide net, Bob? Using someone like
Yeah, I
you?
don't know, Kim. Call Kim and she'll cast the net wide for you, I believe is what she's saying, which is absolutely true.
I'm self-serving. I
Yeah.
can't help it. It's really
Yeah.
mutual, because when I help me, I'm actually
Yeah,
helping you.
exactly it.
Like Jerry Maguire said, help
Yeah.
me, help you. All
Followed by show me the money, I think.
right. So, yes, exactly. So, okay. So, the second part of that question I was
Mhm.
asking a while ago was, so now you want to go and dominate markets that you
Right.
don't live in. So, what's your thought process with that? And I mean, is this something your franchisor is encouraging, or are they discouraging it?
So I'll answer the last part of that first. The franchisor is absolutely encouraging it in a responsible way, right? So we have conversations about it, make sure that we're, doing the right things and set up the right way to be successful in the additional markets. Um, but for me, it's about applying the same things that we've talked about. I need the right GMs in those locations that are going to run those offices. We need the right people who have the right passion and fit our culture and our values. We need the salespeople and the estimators and the project managers, et cetera, just like we need here. And the good news for me is I'm used to running businesses from afar, right? I had a global business that I was responsible for, and obviously you can't be in every country all the time. And so this kind of, again, it's a skill set that I bring to the table that I'm, going to leverage now in this market. I think, our Paul Davis as a franchisor is encouraging of me to go do this because we've had some good success in Houston. And so I think, you want to start out being successful in the market that you're in, but once you want to start growing and you've shown that success, I think my guess is most franchisors would be excited about having a known commodity grow in other parts of the country. So yes, we've opened in Raleigh, North Carolina, 2 months ago, and we're looking at other markets as well that we want to expand into. We're trying to evaluate that against obviously the size of the market, all the things that I went through the validation process when I bought Houston and in other markets. But we're going through that process now, and we continue to focus on our expansion from a location diversity perspective in addition to Houston.
And where does it end for you, Bob?
Well, a lot of people ask me that, and right now I'm really focused on continuing to grow and build and find partners that are want to be part of the team and do that with me, and I'm just enjoying that part of the process. At some point in the future, I don't know if it means selling or if it just means maybe backing up a little bit because we've got more and more people that are capable of running businesses, but we'll definitely figure that out over the next 5 to 10 years. But I think I still have a little runway ahead of me yet, so I'm just gonna keep the gas pedal down for now.
what an amazing place to find yourself in, if and when you get to that point where you've built this, amazing multi-million-dollar business and multiple, MSAs around the country, that somebody would come, or private
Right.
equity would come and say, "Hey, Bob,
Yeah.
would you like to sell?" And then you not only, get to take the equity and the money and the experiences and the memories you built with you to that point, but exit for some big payout and go buy yourself a small
Yes.
island in South Pacific.
That,
And then
that's
get
true.
bored 2
Yeah,
months
that's
later and then call
exactly
me
it.
back.
But no, that is a real possibility. I've watched other companies do that in the franchising space and outside the franchising space, and it's definitely something I'm considering. I think there's like I said, there's a lot more runway in what we're going to try to build before we get to that spot. But absolutely, an exit like that would be quite rewarding. There's no two ways about it.
That's amazing, Bob. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your story with my audience. Any parting words before we end this amazing conversation?
I would just reiterate a couple points. One is, if you're looking to do something where you can get a little bit more autonomy, franchising is a great place to start with a little bit of support, which I think we all need. And but if you've been thinking about it, you probably need to do it. So give somebody like Kim a call, and she'll help you through the process and help you take the next step.
And so, just to wrap this up, the whole point is there are businesses that allow you to come in with $100 million dreams. And there are franchise businesses that are owner operated, where people don't want to have 140 employees. There are businesses that fit your sweet spot, that hobby that you love. And then there are businesses that are purely for the investment and the opportunity to leverage a skill set. How do you figure all of that out on your own? I don't know, but you don't have to. If you landed here at the Daily Coach, you know that I exist. My services are free. I'm very passionate about helping people cast that wide net and end up in businesses that they never would have found on their own, like restoration, but there are so many others out there. If this video has inspired a dream in you and you're ready to take the next step, please leave a comment below or reach directly out to the Daily Coach. And if you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, I am Kim Daly, your Daily Coach.